The future starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for us to use technology for the good of humanity.
The future starts here.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. If you were with us this morning, Abelardo is connected with us. Please switch the mic on. Well, we are live. So Erica is a sound artist. She was with us in Rimini last year. We can't hear you. Okay, now it works. We can't hear you. Okay, we can hear you. I mean, your work is really beautiful. You are in Pescara, right? Can you tell us something about your walk of art since you launched and started the second part of this event? Can you tell us something about this? I wanted to depict scientific research, but I wanted to represent research in any field, because thanks to the research we can find solutions, and this is what we need. Unfortunately, I cannot work in this time, and I am a performer, so I do live shows, and I hope that in the future, of course, I will find a way to work, maybe through streaming shows and using digital technologies. So this is what I have to do, because I cannot actually make my shows in front of a lot of people. And so we have seen your work, your piece of art, and we started talking this morning about scientific research and technologies in order to face these emergencies, but also any emergencies in the future. Erica, thank you so much for being with us, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Right. Okay, this is the second part of a Start of the Future. And I would like to actually convey you a positive message. First of all, we looked at data, and we have been talking about the flattening of the curve, and I have to say that data for today are quite good. So, however, we should stick to the directives and stay at home. But I can tell you that starting from today, with the Start of the Future, we implemented a digital cooperation activity. And I have to say that startups, but also not-for-profit making organizations, have decided to take part in these, but even companies and citizens, all of them are collaborating and helping to support research, but also innovation and digital technologies can help you to face such emergency, but also improve our society. We have described 9 Italian projects, and later on 6 international projects will be presented, and we have been also talking with the directors of the hospitals in Lodi and Codogno, and we invite all of you to make all these projects available in order to help everybody face the emergency and reconstruct the social and economic model. I I know that there will be lots of other outstanding speakers. I hope you're following us both from Italy and from all over the world. Now, we have a number of sessions about the future, of course. We will look also at aerospace world and how we can exploit it to face the coronavirus emergency. We also look at the deaf and hard of hearing community. We know that they have problems when it comes to lip reading, of course, because we are all wearing masks. But the next speaker is a friend of us, and I think we have a video clip, and we can start immediately. Paolo Iabichino is with us. Hello, how are you? Well, we always say we are fine, we are okay, but we are not 100% honest in a way. We have to say we are okay, and of course, there are lots of people who are not well at all, but it is not, being 100% okay. But we can even be, in the future, we can even be better than before. Let's have a look at the brands and communication and what brands are doing, because of course we have to promote important values. We have been talking about that many times, and we are seeing this right now. Yes, I've been saying this for more than 10 years. It is something we have already seen, because year after year we became much more aware that we were reaching the limit. And then there were some tensions and from outside in, from the United States, for example. And I remember we talked about this during the festival last year. So from the United States, we got these tensions, but actually in the 60s or in the 70s, I mean, we already started with us, with this, but actually in the United States there was overconsumption and overbranding. So I don't really know why, but we tend to forget our fair and healthy and sound roots when it comes to branding and trade. But what is happening now is that a lot of brands, and I would even say all brands, if you look at fashion industry, all the big players are now producing masks and gowns, and also the car makers are now producing respirators or ventilators. Also when it comes to the food and beverage industry, they are supporting, helping, increasing wages. It looks like everybody is good and beautiful, but in the end, nobody is, because we cannot make big differences, because it's like when we were young and we studied advertisements during the war, and that was propaganda, and the brands did that. I think that this time is quite similar. We cannot make big differences, but I think that as soon as the situation is over, the pandemic is over, the brands which remained faithful to their DNA and which were able to do real storytelling, well, they will continue and do so even in the aftermath of the pandemic. I think that also the way we communicate is changing. Brands have to communicate their values because, of course, there is a relationship with customers and users, but in addition to that, there is also the relationship with the community, with the society. But can you give us any positive or examples that you liked the most? Personally, I'd rather not to say any names, first of all, because I don't want to mention customers, my own customers or customers of others, but there are some really good stories, and especially abroad. Yesterday morning, I read a script by Volvo, and that was really paying tribute to truck drivers, and it was a very nice message, a thank you message to them, to truck drivers or commercial vehicles. And also Truck 5, they wrote something really nice for Facebook, very important one. Together with Ibsen Italy, I know they collaborate with you during the festival, and we created the Civic Brands Permanent Observatory. And this is something we started to think about in January or February. And we carried out surveys about what you are saying. So not really the communication for the sake of communication, so just communicating values, but rather a different type of communication, which means to what extent brands have an impact on community, not only with communication, but due to the fact that they are on the market. It is a survey project I do like a lot, and then at a certain point we decided to publish it because this is very hot topics today. And we did that because we wanted to raise awareness about the real impact of advertising on society and community. And so this is why the observatory is so important. We would like to share it, of course, in the future. Very last question before you leave. Talking about communication, and this is something that we deal with not-for-profit making organizations. I think that NGOs mostly focused their communication on fundraising, but actually they should focus more on the projects, on what they do. And I hope that this time we are going through, this moment, will help also NGOs do that as companies are doing. So what do you think about communication from not-for-profit making organizations? So what do you think about this? Well, personally, my answer is no, because such an emergency has created a lot of difficulties because most donations are done for research. So donations are for the civil protection or hospitals. And in particular, the very small not-for-profit making organizations are experiencing difficulties. I'm in contact with a lot of small ones. I'm not talking about ActionAid or the big ones, but there are a lot of very small organizations, NGOs, and unfortunately, they will be impacted in terms of decline in donations. I hope I'm wrong, but I unfortunately think this will be the situation in the future. And so because of that, NGOs have to go back to fundraising in terms of communication because they need funds, they need donations, and that will be, unfortunately, their priority during phase 2 or 3. Of course, in our ideal world, I'd rather them talk about verticality or projects. But personally, I was looking at the long run, so that would be the horizon, the future. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paolo, for contributing to our event, and see you soon. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And now let's get to our topic. We're going to talk about another project. It's an Italian project once again, but I'm gonna give a video in order to introduce this Italian person starting off the project. We have the architect Carlo Ratti with us. Hello, good evening, Mr. Architect. Good evening, can you see me? Now we can see you. Good evening or good afternoon to you, because you are calling from Boston, right? Yes, from my balcony in Boston, from my house. Thank you for your time. We are going on with our initiative, with our presentation day. We launched on March 18th, Start a Future, in order to foster digital cooperation, because we want to tell the story about innovative projects. We want to tell the story of startup companies and citizens who are coming up with new ideas to solve the emergency problem, but also to tackle other challenges. It's a great pleasure for us to have you here. You can hold your speech in Italian without any problems, because of course everything will be translated into English. And I can now give you the floor if you want to tell us something. I think you have a presentation, and if you want to share it with us. Yes, I'm going to share it straight away. But first of all, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to be very quick, actually, because we started with a sentence that I think is very beautiful by Ralph Magno, who was chief of staff of Barack Obama and was the mayor of Chicago. And he said a few years ago, never let the crisis go to waste, because a crisis will change the world around you, and you have to reinvent yourself. If we reinvent ourselves, and this is what happened over the last few weeks in a very short time, so 4-6 weeks. If you think about 4-6 weeks ago, many people in Italy were going skiing or having holidays, so the quarantine hadn't begun yet. And it changed the world, really, and we have to reinvent ourselves. So let me tell you a few things very quickly. The first is something that is on the mouth of everybody, but it's also very important for the future world, and it's how quickly we switched to a new way of working. Smart working, for instance. I've been reading that an important Italian CEO was saying, but look, people are also working from home. They can work from home. So maybe 20 years too late, he discovered smart working. So something that was already ongoing was eventually implemented. But I think that when the quarantine will be over, in years' time, I don't know, months' time, days' time, cities and countries will change. Many things will change. Physical space will be very important, of course, because we want to be great cities. Milan, London, New York. We want to visit big cities. We want to meet our friends, because this is also part of the enthusiasm related with the city. But maybe our work method can be more flexible, because now we're experiencing an extreme flexibility. I mean, you're calling people from around the world. I'm calling from my balcony, and I've been having 10 different calls today from people from all around the world, different countries, since this morning. So somehow we are accelerating some ongoing changes. We will probably work in a different way in the future. And the second thing is the idea not to let the crisis go to waste, because it's an opportunity. And I've got an idea to tell you about. Very simple. Some weeks ago, during a virtual meeting with my team, because in Carlo Ratti Associati, as a planning and designing company, we also have an innovation team, 200, 300 people around the world, Europe, US, Asia, and so on. So during this meeting, we said, what can we do with our skills in order to help? And several projects were put forward. One of which, of course, there are other projects that are still in the pipeline, but in the architectural team, and I'm going to show you the presentation, we said, what can we do in terms of planning design? There's a bit of delay. Just a second. The presentation is being uploaded. Just tell me when you can see it. Excuse me. You have to click presenter again, probably. Let me do it straight away. Yeah, okay, perfect. It works now. Almost there. It's coming. Can you see my blue screen? Yes? Okay. So what can we do? So an open source team is what we have. So people being able to develop a project that can be used by several people from around the world. As you can see, some of the first people helping us or companies helping us are written there. But in a few days' time, hundreds of subjects took part in the project, and we have thousands of emails. So people want to contribute to this project. Now, so you can see there are several projections on how the crisis will develop further. But one thing is clear. We need to increase the number of intensive treatment places, because, of course, this will make a difference in the countries. If we don't quarantine, the number of infections will grow so fast with exponential curves that the healthcare system will collapse. So we need to make sure we have enough intensive treatment places for the patients. This means being in quarantine, staying home, because this way we can smoothen the peak, as we are saying in the USA. So what are we doing now? We've got intensive and sub-intensive treatment, and these activities were already implemented in Italy as well as in China. So temporary hospitals were built, tents, or other structures used as hospitals. On the other end, a new prefabricated hospital, so a real prefabricated hospital. Well, using a conference hall, for instance, is easy to do a hospital, to make an hospital, but of course the virus will, however, circulate. And in that area, in the tent or in the prefabricated hospital, you've got an infected air, and this causes very difficult working conditions for the healthcare professionals and the whole staff working in there. A complete prefabricated hospital will work with under pressure, negative pressure, which means the intensive treatment units will have negative pressure so that the air and the virus can go in but cannot get out of the room, which means outside you've got protected areas where the medical staff can be standing or spending time without any particular protection or suits or helmets or masks and so on. So this is a situation we have in the best hospitals, basically. So intensive care units has a negative pressure environment, and this is a so-called biocontainment in technical terms. And prefabricated hospitals can be built quickly and can have the same principle. So we asked ourselves, can we do something like that? Very quick to build, a tent or a camp hospital, but very safe as a real hospital. So working together with a team, as I was saying, hundreds of people wanted to take part in this project. Engineers, Arab Jacobs or Philippe, as companies, for instance, they're producing lots of medical materials, people helping us to visualize and implement the project, like FM Studio Milan or other studios in London. You can find the names in our website. So we imagined using containers. So if we create a negative pressure in containers, the containers will become intensive treatment units that have exactly the same requirements as a hospital unit. Easy to install, even quicker than a camp hospital, because containers are delivered with all of the necessary equipment installed. So you just need to connect water and the mains. And everything's available as open source material on the website, so it can be downloaded by anybody. This is the external module, which we called CURA, which is an English acronym. So basically, it is connected unit for respiratory ailments, so a unit for those who have respiratory problems. But you can see the material. Everything is in the website, and it's very easy, very simple. You can see all the different internal components, all of the medical equipment, developed together with engineers dealing with medicine, together with Philippe as well as a manufacturer as well. And here you've got different configurations. For instance, you can bring containers to a parking lot in front of a hospital and connect everything to the hospital with an inflatable structure that can create an extension for the intensive treatment unit. So, or you can have this 8-unit module or another module with more units. You can see different configurations, really. Here there's a short video. I don't know whether you can hear the audio. No, we can't hear anything. Okay, I'm going to explain it with my voice. You can see these are the components, the equipment installed in the container. Then the container can be easily transported and installed. You can have different configurations put together by this inflatable structure. And then, of course, you can find more information on the website. You also have an audio explanation, so more information maybe for you. And this work is a medical project, of course. This is the final picture I wanted to show you. So as a medical project, it requires several weeks, of course. But working together as an open source project and team, sharing information in the net very quickly, we managed in a week's time to come up to the first project proposal. And we were lucky enough to get people from around the world interested in our project, using this information to create such modules, so intensive treatment units like this. And thanks to the support of Unicredit, we started creating one in Italy, so it will be finished next week, so with a record time, I would say. Because sometimes if you order materials, building materials or medical materials, you have very long delivery time, 6-8 weeks for the shipping, and therefore it's astonishing we managed to build it in a week. And this is last week, for instance. After a few days it was painted, you've got the graphics on it and everything, and we are now in the installation phase, and it will be installed in the camp hospital next week for the emergency service. But of course there are also other initiatives around the world with governments, companies who took these drawings and wanted to do it for Canada, for Ecuador, Kuwait, and so on and so forth. So from all around the world there was lots of interest. And however, this was a very quick overview to give you some information in the last few weeks. And we started with a question. The question was sort of evoked by the sentence, never let gases go to waste. So how can we adapt our way to work, our working method? How can we contribute to a difficult situation? This was the question. This is what people do during war times. It is a different war, of course. Maybe it's a little better than a war, because in a war you always have countries against each other, a coalition against another coalition. In this sense, in this crisis, we are all joined together. We're all facing a common threat, and we're all together. And this will possibly create more unity around the world between countries and continents. So we can ask ourselves, what can we do? What can I do, personally do, in order to help? And this is one of the projects we wanted to put forward. Of course, we'll also have other projects I can tell you about. Just a hint, just a brief overview of some other project. So this is probably the most serious project because it's related to intensive treatment. But there is another project, a startup project based on our studio, Carlo Ratti, and it's called Scribit. Let me show you something. Scribit is the name. Basically, it's a small robot. We lost the connection. Maybe there's a problem. Maybe he accidentally shut down the connection by clicking the wrong button. Let's see whether we can have him online again soon. Yes. Okay, but in the meantime, waiting for Carlo to come back, we've witnessed how the architecture world is sharing too. There's a strong cooperation. So the last few weeks we've been witnessing things happening very quickly, incredible things happening that usually take 1 year time to happen. So this is one of the positive aspects we have to acknowledge, basically. We need to find positive aspects in this situation. So hopefully we can work on this way. I think we lost the architect. We have no connection anymore. But however, you can have a look at the projects in the website he mentioned. And however, we have an opportunity to have another interview with him. We can have a more in-depth analysis of other projects as well, other topics as well. And however, it's the same topic we were talking about with Marisa Carta about the borghi, the little towns in Italy and innovation in the city. So we have this grassroots level approach for the future, for the new cities and small towns for the future. Carlo Ratti is also working on this, and therefore another idea we can talk about. Okay, we've seen all these people connected from around the world, Boston or other startup projects that we will see from around the world. The idea we want to launch is to take a picture with the hashtag Start the Future and the hashtag of your country from which you're calling or following, and post the picture. Do we have Carlo Ratti again? No, we don't. So we will talk about it later maybe. but let's now talk about space. During this session, we will try to understand with the European Space Agency. Is the architect back again? Yes. Okay, sorry, I lost the connection. I don't know why. Where did I lose you? You were about to tell us about the other project. I don't know what happened. Scribit was the project. But I was saying, however, that CURA is a way to contribute to intensive treatment units in a lighter way. But other people in the team were thinking to other contributions as well. So Scribit, for instance. If you go to Scribit Instagram, or if you visit Scribit page, you will see it's a small robot writing on walls. It's a small startup company, spin-off of Carlo Ratti Studio, which is now a company producing Scribit. But since we're stuck at home, we were thinking about how using walls to do something different. In this case, to play Sudoku, for instance. So a cooperation was started with a Sudoku champion, Thomas Hinder, in order for people to work on its own, at home or with friends. Since we're all stuck at home in quarantine, or on the balcony, for instance, we can't spend time outdoor. We need to use our walls. So I'm going to show you a video that explains how we can work a family space to do new things alone or with friends. So in different conditions, crisis conditions, where the world is changing, we need to understand how we can tackle these challenges, to reinvent ourselves, to rethink ourselves, and to offer something new in a very difficult moment. So on one hand, intensive treatment units or open source projects can be used by anyone, or Sudoku to play on the wall just to strengthen our relationships. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you and with us, and we invite you all to visit Scribit. Have a nice day. See you soon.
Right, I was saying that you can send pictures with the hashtag Start the Future and the name of the city or the country you are connected from. Okay, now we go to the space because we want to understand how aerospace protocols can be applied to manage the coronavirus emergency. And we have Ilaria with us. Can you hear us? Yes? Okay, so I think you have a presentation, right? You can share your presentation with us. First of all, you are a member of the Aerospace Medical Association. Where are you connected from? I'm in Italy. I'm at home right now, of course, as all of you.
Ho lo presentazione full schermo pieno. La vedete?
You have to click present.
Sì, ho cliccato.
Okay, we can see you and your presentation, and you can start. Good morning, my name is Ilaria Cinelli. I'm a medical engineer and I'm a member of the Aerospace Medical Association. The work I would like to present to you was carried out in collaboration with Thais Russomano, who is the CEO of InnovaSpace. Now, I'm talking about space medicine applied to epidemics. We often look at aerospace as something far away from us, but this is not the case. We think that when it comes to technologies or aerospace, this is something that does not or cannot be applied to us, but we have to look at how it is possible to do that. So I would like to share with you this piece of information, which means that how space medicine can be applied to epidemics and pandemics. So basically, how research carried out in the aerospace can actually used to face epidemics and pandemics. When you think about, space, you know that we have to face a lot of stress, and it is a difficult situation. There are risks because you have to adapt your body, because when you go to Mars, for example, there is no gravity, and you might also be contaminated by bacteria or viruses. We considered three scenarios. We first looked at healthcare workers, patients, so contaminated people, infected people, and we also looked at us, so people quarantined. So these types of simulations are carried out to look at the possibility of doing some training, and to also use technologies, and also considering the missions carried out in the International Space Station. When it comes to medicine, if you look at medical difficulties, well, there might be some differences and some similarities. I'm not sure you can see this slide, but, well, when you are in the space, there are no medical resources. If you have it, it's because you do it yourself. And this is something, that happens in Mars. For example, you don't have food or drinking water. And so there are some events which are actually considered as very similar to epidemics. And so the missions to the space can have features very similar to pandemics. In particular, the healthcare staff and healthcare workers have to face similar situations to ourselves when they go to a mission to the space. So this means that there are some similarities or compatibility. And if we look at the situation on Earth, but, well, of course, there are, for example, the situations of families who have to stay at home, so there are some limitations to be considered. And when we simulate our missions on Earth, well, it could be stopped early because there is an emergency. However, when we do that on Earth, well, we realize that sometimes quarantine has to be prolonged or shortened. But the main difference is that bringing, innovation from the space to the Earth, well, it means that you have to look at what happens to a group of individuals, and then you transfer it to the whole population of a country, for example. I participated in 8 missions, and I personally bought some 3D printed surgical instruments, and they were made to support and help people in self-isolation. These tests were carried out a few years ago. The technology had already been acquired. These are not used for clinical cases. So personally, I did that on dummies. But as I said, I'm an engineer and not a surgeon. I'm not a physician. But there are a lot of studies, established studies. For example, what I'm talking about is a project that dates back to 2 years. And what I'm doing right now is actually reaching out to decision makers to say that they have to look at the space, at a resource, and exploit our knowledge. For example, the 3D printed respirators were used during our missions, and also there are some strategies which can be adopted on Earth. For example, when it comes to the stress or fatigue containment protocols which are adopted during our missions can be applied to the healthcare workers. So the healthcare workers could look at aerospace medicine and the protocols applied there, because aerospace medicine is not done for the sake of research. All the protocols can be implemented and can be applied on Earth, can support healthcare workers, for example, during an epidemic or pandemic. When it comes to telemedicine and how to treat disease remotely and how to communicate to patients, well, these are protocols that we do have, and we can use them to educate patients and users in order to make sure people stay at home. And so we could use telehealth. But there are also lots of other measures that could be used for sterilization in order to limit contamination by viruses and bacteria. So I really want to make you understand that space is a resource to be exploited, because what we do is done for the life and the quality of life of people. We do strongly believe that this research and studies are really useful for us to face situations like the one we are facing today. The project you have presented is fascinating. We couldn't see the slides, but we will meet you again during the next festival. I would like to thank Italy for the excellent work, and I would like to thank your team for inviting me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you.
So also in this case, we've seen how research in the aerospace industry can be useful in such difficult situations, not just those situations, but this is something we will discover together with the next guest. Please, the introductory video. We have Pierre, Philippe, Mathieu with us of the European Space Agency. Hello, Philippe. Hello, everybody. How are you? Everything fine and smooth. So I think you have a presentation, right? If you can please click on present so that we take the time to upload it. Can you please tell me where the button is? On the bottom right, you should have presenter. No, I can only see that is presenting. You should be able to see, though. Yes, it's there. Okay. The European Space Agency is also partner for the festival for climate change as a topic. So you're going to give us an overview based on the data you have, your vision on climate change. You're about to launch one of the topics we'll tackle during the next edition of the festival, but also during other Start the Future editions. However, is everything working fine? Yes. Okay, Pierre, when you want, you can start. You can speak Italian if you want to. You be translated into English, or if you want, you can speak English. First of all, can you confirm you can see my presentation on the slide? Yes. What are you seeing there? What can you see there? Our home planet. What planet is it? Calabria, maybe? Yeah, exactly. No, basically, I wanted to show you something and basically share my passion for space and the power of perspective. Nowadays, we're talking a lot about perspective because it's a way to understand problems and solve them. If you change perspective, you can change your way to solve the problem. You can find other ways. And this is the space perspective in a picture of Casimir against. Basically, you're seeing our planet, but it's so small, you have to zoom in to see it. So basically, it's here, a small blue dot called Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan. This was done in 2013 when the satellite went to Saturn. And I'm going to start with this because basically people were asked to get out of their home, look at Saturn, and take the most space-oriented selfie of the world. A selfie, in this case, that was taken millions of kilometers away from the Earth. But if you zoom in, you get to the moon. And when astronauts go to the moon, they always look at the Earth because they understand the Earth as a planet, our home. And you can see very bright colors from the moon. You can understand that water plays a very important role on Earth. When this picture was taken, it had a very strong psychological impact on mankind because for the first time we saw each other from outside, from far away. This was the very first look onto the Earth from far away, and we understood how small our planet is and how fragile. And dialogue started on sustainability, and is also the topic of my presentation. What we do at the Space Agency, also with other partners like NASA or other agencies, is to monitor this planet in order to manage it in a better way. And we see it from different perspectives. We monitor it from different angles and perspectives, spectra. In order to do this, we build and launch satellites into the space, into different orbits at different levels. Some of them are for weather forecasting, others for research, and some others are sentinels for environmental monitoring. We monitor the environment every week with 10 meters resolution for the whole planet, thanks to this set of sentinels. And we gather data from the sentinels and try to transform the data into information that can be used by policymakers, industries, and so on and so forth. This is, for instance, sustainability quantification. So for the Sustainability Development Goals, more specifically, some examples of what we can see. I said that the Earth is blue, but still you also have some green, which stands for biology, for life. In this case, you can see microorganisms like this, plankton, and chlorophyll of plants. So you can see biology and traces of life from the space. Even life forms are so small, you can see it from the space. From space, you can also see the impact of our species on the planet. For instance, during the night, you can see this. You can understand people are using energy during the night. If you would have taken the picture 100 years ago, you would have had a totally different result. We can also measure gravity with an extreme measuring vision, which allows us to give us a very exact height. This is GPS, for instance. Or we can have a magnetic view, so radiation. We can measure moisture of soil in order to understand how plants are using water. We can observe the atmosphere and monitor clouds. This is for weather forecasting, for instance, every day. And with Sentinel-2, we can monitor field trends with a 10 meters resolution and see how plants are growing, disappear, how the landscape is changing over time. And we also have signs of climate change, of course, on a global scale. The same that we saw for light can apply to ice melting. Thanks to satellites, we can have this global view also for regions that are far away, like the poles, for instance. And we can see that ice is melting. You can also see glaciers that are disappearing in very far regions, or the water temperature that is increasing, and this also raises the sea level, and this has an impact on the coast areas. And we can also see how the mankind is changing, shaping the chemical composition of the atmosphere. You can see CO2, for instance. The satellite can see the changes in CO2 over time. You can see how the vegetation is breathing because it goes up and down, but the trend is increasing. It is an upward trend, and this shows the impact of mankind on the climate. But we can also observe other gases like NO2, nitrogen dioxide. All of the combustion processes contribute to it. So when you start the engine and so on and so forth, you contribute to pollution. And it's a way to measure pollution. When the virus came over, we saw a downward trend of all these emissions. Basically, the air quality has improved significantly, and we can see it from kilometers and kilometers from the space. And we can measure the impact of this crisis on the social, economic, and environmental aspects. And this is why we launched a call for tenders for pilot projects for 150,000 euros. So if you have good ideas, you can send us proposals on how to use technologies to measure these three aspects, these three impacts. Of course, we will share this with everybody for your call for proposals. Of course, we observe different levels and different variables. The added value is putting all the pieces together in order to understand what's going on. This is the power of perspective. And also in this case, we are gathering different data because, of course, we can't see under the sea level from the space. Therefore, we need other levels. We need mathematical models in order to get information on physical processes. And putting all of this together, our goal right now is to create a sort of digital twin Earth. That's to say, a digital version of our planet in order to understand how the Earth works and make experiments in order to see the impact of what we do on the environment. We also use AI, artificial intelligence, AI forms, artificial intelligence, to see hidden variables. This is how we put different variables together in order to assess the El Niño effect, for instance, which has biological impacts on fishing and carbon emissions, for instance. One of the challenges we have is transforming this huge information set in small data. That's to say, small indicators that can be useful for people. There is a very long chain in order to attain this goal, and therefore we need you to help us. We talk to startup companies, for instance, to gather this information with apps related with products in order to transform these into a service. So we do competitions, basically. This is an example of it, where the sun radiation, sun rays were analyzed on strands, for instance, in order for people to understand what sun protector factor was necessary on a specific beach, for instance. So this is a website we have for all the startups and innovators in order for us to get such ideas, for instance. Yes, okay, we've got a direct line, and for sure we will share with you all of the projects that can help to work together in terms of climate change, and not just that. Thank you very much for your time, Pierre. Let me finish by saying this. There's a third opportunity in this website. Let's say creating changes with data, which are all open source, free, online. Thank you very much, Pierre. I'll get in touch soon. So let's start this wonderful cooperation in order to activate our innovator community. Thank you very much once again.
Right, we are now in this space. We first started to talk about aerospace medicine protocols, and now we looked at possible applications. But now we would like to talk about sustainability models after the emergency. We will talk with Eleonora Cogo. Thank you for being here. You are always present at our festival, so it is a great pleasure for us to have you, and I'm sure that you will be with us during the next festival. Do you have a presentation? No, not really. So the floor to you. And the title is New Sustainability Models in the Aftermath of the Emergency. Right, I would like to share with you the following thing. A few weeks ago, I received a sort of a weird request because, well, in Spain and in France, the situation was worsening, and actually a person, he's an expert in AI, and he came to me, and she didn't want to stay at home, she wanted to go out. So she asked me, can you record a voice message for my family? Well, I thought I'm not the right person to tell people what to say during an emergency. But okay, I can talk about my personal experience. And this is what I did. I actually described what was going on in Italy, and unfortunately, a very sad thing of people dying alone, and also trucks from the army taking the corpses from one city to another. And I told her it was a high risk. And so this message was effective because the whole family of this person decided to stay at home. And well, actually, I was surprised because, well, I said the same things that I could read in newspapers, but listening to me, it was like, having a person coming from the future talking to them. And so based on this episode, I thought about the future. A lot of researchers and epidemiologists have been saying for a lot of time we were not ready to face pandemic, but in spite of this, we decided to ignore, to neglect them, so we did not get ready at all. And these are the same questions that people dealing with climate change consider every single day. We know that the greenhouse gases, CO2 emissions, are responsible for the global warming. And we know that we have to face this because otherwise we have huge risks in terms of food supply, in terms of fires, in terms of droughts. And what happened in Australia will be normal. Also, in terms of rainfall, so the situation will change, but even the way in which infectious diseases spread, well, this will change because of climate change. And so, I mean, we are aware of the risks caused by a 2-degree increase, but we are not doing a lot to reduce emissions. And actually, I noticed that there are also other similarities when it comes to climate change and pandemic, because they both are a challenge to our survival on this planet, and both require global cooperation. Both require a change, but the benefits will come in the future. And in both cases, the earlier we act, the easier it will be to handle and manage the consequences. So the pandemic, the virus emergency, forced us to change our behaviors and lifestyles. Up until a few weeks ago, we couldn't think that that would be possible, but the same applies to climate change, and we should change our behaviors in order to reduce the increase in the global warming and the increase in the temperatures. And to do that, we have to change our behaviors, the way in which produce energy, food, transportation, construction, and the way in which we plan our societies. We must have emissions by 2030, and we should reach zero net emissions by 2050. But this implies a radical change of the whole system. Personally, I think that the coronavirus emergency demonstrated that radical changes are possible. We saw that it is possible to see hospitals to be built even in Italy in very few days. And there are plenty of grassroots innovations and a lot of examples of solidarity. I think that this crisis is offering us a unique opportunity to look at our model for the future. Shall we go back to our old model using fossil fuels, which leads to global warming, or shall we focus on a more sustainable development model for us and the planet in order to combine the well-being of our planet with the well-being of human beings? I personally think that the inputs needed for the social and economic recovery should also be used in terms of climate change, electric mobility, clean energy, and we should also set specific goals in terms of CO2 emissions cutting. For example, looking at the aviation industry. Unfortunately, they are responsible for lots of CO2 emissions, so we should really exploit technological innovation to make supply chains more resilient and to come up with different solutions in order to face pandemics, but also environmental disasters or extreme events. As we said, it is time to use communication and in particular technological innovation and digital innovation to produce social innovation. And of course, this applies to many different fields. We can collaborate not only locally or nationally, but also at international level. And of course, we should base our actions on science, on scientific research and knowledge. And these were often neglected. So your suggestion, of course, is shared and appreciated. So we decided to organize Start the Future on this day, which is the World Health Day. We have been celebrating it since 1950, and we would like in 2030 to be in a better situation when it comes to the development goals. So we have to raise awareness about the health and the well-being of people. We hope that by 2030 we will have done something also for the climate change. So we have to start immediately. We have to start the future immediately. Thank you, Eleonora. Thank you for your contribution, and see you soon. Thank you.
Eleonora was very enlightening and enriching. So in a few seconds, we will be listening to Consuelo Agnesi, who is an architect for the deaf community, hearing impaired community, and she's going to talk to us about the situation the deaf community is experiencing. But in the meantime, we're going to watch a video to have some fun entertainment.
Mi assento 5 minuti.
I'm going to have a 5 minutes break. Lions Quarantine by Strawberry Production. We've already watched this video today, but we wanted to show it again because some entertainment can help also digesting these important topics. We've been receiving inputs from all over the world, and we will listen to international projects as well. But before that, we have a talk with Consuelo Agnesi. Consuelo, can you see me? Her microphone is off. You have to click to switch it on. Good evening. Can you hear me now? Can we do it again, please? Good evening. Can you show us again the sign language? Can you do it again, please? Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. And good morning is like this, right? Yes, that's correct. Look at that. I'm going to teach you something. Web. Marketing. Festival. Good. Well done. Well, Start of Future is too difficult for me. And this is applause, right? Yeah. Okay, since menus, we've been talking about sign language. This year, we saw that there was a sign interpreting also for Sanremo. We wanted the same for Start of Future, but of course it was too difficult due to their COVID restrictions. But we will try to have it for future events for the deaf community. We've got a question. You're also an architect, but this is something we will talk about during the next festival edition. I wanted to ask you, what are the difficulties you are experiencing as a deaf community? Masks. We're all wearing masks, and masks are making things more complicated in terms of communication. Can you tell us something about this? Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'll try to make myself clear, although my voice is a bit strange, but I'm gonna try and sum up what we are experiencing right now, what's happening to us in a few minutes, all of the difficulties we are experiencing right now. I'd like to explain this from the personal point of view, but also from the professional point of view. So I'm gonna try and give you the apocalypse scenario that we are all experiencing. But I'd like to make a short introduction before talking about difficulties. Hearing impaired people are living in a world where vocal communication plays a very important role, but even worse, we cannot take part in the daily life now. Hearing impaired people communication has lots of nuances, so it's very difficult to distinguish also between them, because there are people who are talking, people who are just using sign language, or people who know 3 languages, both in terms of spoken and sign languages. But of course, once again, we're all different like anyone else, because we're all different, and we've got difference within our community as well. So I don't want any misunderstanding in this sense, but we gathered, so we found ourselves in this apocalyptic scenario. It's like a science fiction movie where you're experiencing a parallel reality, like in a crystal ball. A crystal ball where information is not getting in and not getting out. You can't communicate with the people around you. So living at the COVID time means experiencing an apocalyptic reality, because even in the few moments when you have a contact with the rest of the community, you see these empty streets, people wearing masks, wearing hats, with glasses or protections, and you can't really see anything. Maybe you can hear some voices. Someone can hear a little bit and can hear some voices, and then there are, however, people that cannot hear anything at all, and this way they cannot understand anything at all. So it's a sort of titanic enterprise when you have to go out, or when you go outdoors, you have huge communication problems. Let me make an example. When you go to the supermarket, it's a sort of silent movie, but actually it's the only lively environment you can get into. So usually when we go to the supermarket, we avoid the fresh product counters in order to avoid talking to people. We buy packaged products, and when we get to the cashier, since I've also worked in emergency situations and I'm part of the National Observatory for Disabled People, I learned something in terms of technical strategies and communication strategies. So what do I do when I get to the cashier? Since everybody's wearing a mask and there's a protection, a glass protection, I say, I'm a deaf person. I cannot read your lips. I can maybe recognize your voice with an app, but it's not possible to do that perfectly because there's too much background noise and there's a glass between us. So I say, I'm a deaf person. I don't need this. I don't have the card. I can read the price on the display. No problem. Don't worry about it. If you have to tell me something, since I cannot read your lips, you can write it on a piece of paper or you can make some gestures, some signs with your hands. So just in case you need to communicate and tell me something different, we will find a strategy to communicate. This is what I do. But this communication is usually effective. Sign language could be a very important resource we could all learn. So it can be a resource not just for the deaf community, but for the whole community. So with that meter distance you have to keep for social distancing and for safety, well, it can overcome by sign language. If people would learn sign language, they can make themselves understandable and clear. So it could be an interesting thing. So sign language is not just as a resource for a few, but a resource for everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Is there any digital application together with the one you showed? So can digital technologies help? Yeah, of course. Yes, I would have explained this because there are lots of technologies we use. This is a Google app, so voice recognition, because I can't hear really anything. I can get vibrations, but not sounds. And this is an app that makes it possible for me to see in real time what the person is saying. So it's very precise. And this is one of the latest technology applications we can use with our smartphones. Okay, Consuelo, thank you very much for this contribution. Of course, we will carry on supporting the deaf community to spread the sign language because it's another language exactly like the Italian language. Maybe people think that you can hear something, but actually you learn the Italian language and you read lips. So it's a foreign language you are reading from the lips. But of course, you need some more support. We are trying to support you in terms of sign language dissemination. So see you soon. Thank you very much once again. Very good. So I'm going to tell you the other things in a different presentation. Yes, we're going to have an interview on YouTube together, okay? So that you can tell us more. I wanted to make a round of applause for you. Thank you so much. And have a fruitful session. And remember that the future starts today. Thank you once again. Wonderful. That was wonderful, Consuelo. I wanted to stress the fact that she knows the Italian language and the sign language is another language, is exactly like the Italian one. So we're trying to work with the deaf community more and more. Unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity to get the Start the Future event translated into the sign language, but we are trying to do this for the next events. Let's now get to the innovative international projects. We got lots and lots of them. And for this, we have an introductory talk. So this is the very first Start the Future event, and we focused on technology and digital innovation projects. And therefore, we will introduce the next part with a speech by Roberto Ascione of netwear, healthwear. Good evening.
Hello, so can you hear us? First of all, if you have some slides, you should share your screen with us. Thank you. So we can upload your presentation. First of all, where are you based? I'm in Salerno, in Italy. I think you are talking in English, right? And the title, it does really represent, what we are talking about. 10 years in digital health in 10 days, right? I Actually, you can do it in Italian because we do have the translation into English, so it's up to you. We can't see your presentation, so we are still waiting for the presentation. You have to click first, select the screen, and then share. After you, we have the international projects, so you have to listen to them because you are dealing with digital health since many years. No, we can't see the... Okay, yes, we can see it. Yes, we can see the presentation, and so the floor to you. Thank you. So hello to everybody. I would like to focus on digital health. And the title is 10 years in 10 days, because this is what is happening. And I would like to show you a real case. But before presenting the real case, I would like to talk about Healthware, which is an international organization. First of all, our team is working from home. We activated the lockdown even before it became mandatory, and we activated lockdown for all our teams. And we work even more than before, I have to say. And we learned to collaborate and to develop projects together in a different manner. Digital health is actually facing a change, a sort of a leapfrog. The expectations of the patients and physicians are changing, and there is a lot of attention which is paid to telemedicine, which means that a lot of things which we used to do face to face can be done remotely. For many years, telemedicine has been developed quite slowly, but now it was speed up because, of course, it started from a need. The need resulted in innovation, and innovation was adopted by practitioners. Now, in collaboration with a startup and with Pagine Mediche, we decided to do the following. On the 7th of February, we created a chat box for education first, education about COVID-19, and then we organized a sort of a self-check system in order to understand what to do. So from the 7th of February, But of course, Italy was adapting to the new methods and to what to do in terms of technologies. And we created a chat box base, and actually we did that, and the knowledge could improve. The chatbot is available for many sites, and many people took advantage of the chatbot. And so this means that they did not call their own practitioner, or they started the online monitoring. The system is developing a lot, and all data are anonymous. Data is not recorded. So all data is recorded in a database which is made available to institutions, and it includes a lot of symptoms which are declared by the people who used the chatbot. More recently, the CDC from Atlanta in the United States followed the same strategy and created a sort of a chatbot for the US users. So this project actually started in Italy, and I'm saying this to all our friends connected in other countries. Well, any hospital or charitable foundation or institution can use the chatbot for free. So if you're interested in doing this, you can contact us, and you can actually implement chatbot. All data is anonymous, is recorded in a database, and data is shared with the Ministry for Innovation in Italy, and also to the World Health Organization. That was step one. Now we are considering step two. Actually, step two is very important, and will be very important in the next months, because we will have to coexist with COVID, at least until a vaccine will be found and created. And so lots of people will be staying at home, and we want to manage patients, in particular with very few symptoms, from their home. So the step number two of the project was to make available to practitioners a free of charge platform for a video visit. So basically a remote visit, so that the patient could stay at home. And that was created specifically for COVID, but we are using it also for other diseases. In addition to that, we have created a specific system to monitor patients at home, in particular the positive patients or the patients with symptoms. So every day they have to fill in a sort of a form, and then they contact the practitioner. The practitioner will see whether the conditions are worsening or not, and if the person can remain at home. So if a practitioner has 40 to 50 patients, calling all of them every single day is quite complicated. So through the app, the patients can every day enter the temperature and can answer the questions which are written by the general practitioner on the dashboard. So the patient is connected to his or her own general practitioner. So the GP can check what the patient said and can contact the patient if needed. Let me show you how things have changed. This is what happened in the last 2 weeks. more than 1,400 GPs registered for the service. And in a very short time, more than 1,000 patients were managed. This data refers to 1 week ago, but the trend is actually increasing. And this is data we never saw in Italy when it comes to the use of digital health platforms, both when it comes to physicians, but also when it comes to patients. And it is extremely important. This is important also internationally because we know that in some markets, digital health is much more advanced. So such technologies like the chat box for bot for the self-assessment of symptoms and also the platform for the GPs and the connection to patients. Well, in just 2 weeks, we did something that would take like 1 year, if there was no COVID pandemic. And so these type of technologies will be extremely useful in managing data and information in the months to come. So I actually invite all of you to use the platform. You can test a chatbot. Everything is available online. You can ask your GP to register. So you can invite the GP to register, and you can start and exchange information with your GP online. So let me conclude by saying that this case study is an Italian one, but it is appreciated by many countries. And this is an exercise of service design based on a real need of people. We rethought the user experience thanks to this platform, and we see that practitioners are actually adopting and uptaking such a technology in a very fast way. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I will follow you tonight and for the festival. So we got to the international projects, innovative technological project to solve the COVID emergency. We got 1,000 proposals and we selected 14. We're going to see the other ones during next few events. So let me show you the introductory video for the second session for innovative projects. Very well. Startups for the future. Second session. We've got 6 projects from all around the world. And I would say, if everything's fine, if all of the startups are connected and online, we can invite the first one straight away.
Ledgaard. Hi, are you? Okay. Hi, how are you? Fine, you?
I'm great. Nice evening in Denmark, and I'm ready to tell you a bit about what we're doing up here.
Okay. So you have 3 minutes, okay, to present your project. Okay. I am the human gong. After 3 minutes, I say stop. It's okay?
That's great. Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You can share.
My time is off.
You have to share your presentation.
Yes, I believe I am already.
No? Another way, you have to push share.
Okay. Yeah, okay, let me just do that. Hang on a second.
It's okay now? No?
Yeah, it's got it. Now we got it.
Now it's okay?
Yeah.
I think 10 seconds. Okay?
Yeah, good to go?
Yes, you can go. 3 minutes from now.
Okay. I look forward to hearing your gong. That will be my evening highlight. So I would like to tell you about how we do telehealth in Denmark, how we can increase capacity of the healthcare system and help bring it into focus that they are very pressed so we can flatten the curve, and also how we can reduce risk with remote screening and remote monitoring in particular. So let me tell you about remote patient monitoring in Denmark. We have been doing this for COPD patients with pulmonary patients for more than 6 years. We have been doing this on the cloud for many years now, and we have deployed installations in many countries in the EU, so we know a lot about this. We are medical grade software, so we have been around for some years and we know exactly what this is all about. So we have already proven that we can save up to 35% of the healthcare costs in the healthcare system, so there can be no discussion that our platform is operational and work. But we are not here to save money, we are here to save lives. So having a platform, we did a configuration of our platform and made it into a COVID-19 application in less than 4 days. So now it is a fully fledged COVID-19 application for home monitoring to address the millions of people who are sitting in their homes and maybe have symptoms, but they don't know who is keeping an eye on them. And this is the way to do this. So the thing we are putting on here is an anonymous screening, and this is coupled with the real-time statistics. So every time somebody's do a screening, we update the real-time graph so you can see exactly how the screening is going in real time. If you are actually qualified to sign on because you have symptoms, which means you have a red or yellow arrow, we will sign you in the system and you will enroll in monitoring. You will have the web app and you will monitor your symptoms twice a day. And we will show you also real time how the statistics are developing. So all the hundreds of thousands of people that are using this will add to the real time statistics and help us see what's going on. And then the nurses will look at the data. And if they actually have one data from a person that is flagging with highest fever and symptoms, then they have an intervention alert, which means that on the onboarding and the enrollment and the monitoring, it is only when actual patients have an alert that they will activate the nurse in the call center who will reach out and find out how we can do this. Having done this for many years and optimizing the software, we know already that 200 nurses will be able to monitor 100,000 people in their homes. And now when we are reopening and trying to get back into normal life, it is imperative that we can offer monitoring and safety and comfort to those who walk in their home and are insecure, and also to be able to offer the healthcare system some kind of information about how the population is doing. And this is operational online and has been running for more than 6 years, so it is solid and we know that it works. The system is automated, so we start people up, we onboard them, pull them through the process, and if they have a red alert, do we actually activate the nurses, which means that this is a fully operational, full automated system that require a minimum of effort from the medical staff. And now let me hear the gong.
Yes, your gong, before than my gong, than me. Okay, so fantastic project. Good luck for OpenTeleHealth. And now we have the next project. Thank you. Bye, Henrik. Now, ora vado in italiano.
Let me speak Italian now.
Se dalla regia mi dite che c'è già il
If
secondo
the second project is already online.
Nel frattempo volevo ricordare.
But however, in the meantime, I wanted to remind you something. Since you are following us from all over the world, you can send a selfie, a picture to us with the hashtag #StartTheFuture and the city where you come from or the country. Okay, I think everything's okay.
Yeah, here I am. Are we starting with the video?
Yes, you can. Sure. You have a video? Do you have a video? Okay.
The next revolution in fitness arrives to your home, enabling you to get the most out of your workout. Introducing Kemtai, the first virtual fitness trainer on your personal device that can actually see you. Thanks to its advanced vision technology, Kemtai scans your body.
Are you ready? Let's start.
And analyzes its movements with maximum accuracy.
Go lower.
It tracks your body's position as you exercise.
Just a little bit more.
Guides you.
Good. Now keep your back straight.
And gives you feedback and scoring in real time.
Great, you got it.
Just like a real personal trainer, Kemtai adapts to you and updates your exercises as you advance and improve.
Great job. That's even better than last time.
When you're done, you can share your score with friends. Kemtai. Effective, engaging, fun, and all in your own space. Get fit. Get Kemtai.
Mi sa che abbiamo avuto... It's okay?
So hopefully you can see my screen now.
No. Your screen?
No.
Okay, now we have your screen. It's okay. You can go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So obviously, when we developed Kemtai, we focused on home fitness before we knew we will have anything like Corona. But home fitness is always important because people want to be able to work out at home. And as you've seen in the video, Kemtai provides a way to work out at home, but also get real-time feedback, just like a personal trainer was right there with you. Kemtai uses advanced technologies, mainly around computer vision and AI, but does not require any special devices. So you can run it on your own laptop. And you feel like an AI trainer, like a virtual trainer is actually guiding you through the workout. You choose a workout, you start doing the exercises, and the software tells you what you're doing wrong and makes sure that you're doing it better. You also see real-time scoring so that you can have an idea if you're improving compared to your previous workouts. Nowadays with Corona, everybody's stuck at home in Italy, in Israel, in the US, everywhere. And it's especially important, not just for health, but for mental health, to be able to exercise. And instead of just using a simple video, with Kemtai, you choose the workout and the trainer that you want. But then as you start working out, as you've seen in the video, the system actually sees your body, sees your movements, and then can understand what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and provide real-time feedback, just like you had a personal trainer at home. So as you're working out, you're getting immediate feedback. It's a lot more fun, and the workout itself is more effective. So whether you have 20 minutes after the kids go to sleep, or if you have half an hour, the workout itself is a lot better and a lot more effective. Our technology also enables different personal trainers to upload their video exercises and create their own workouts. We're actually having a lot of trainers join the system now, some of them from Italy as well. We actually have a lot of users in Italy. And trainers can put their own workouts, and that gives them a way, now that it's very hard for them to make a living, this gives them a way to connect with their users, to provide them personalized workouts, and the user at home still gets all the immediate feedback that he would in normal days. So just to summarize, we're leveraging edge computing, providing advanced computer vision on your laptop. So the user at home, you want to stay fit, you want to stay healthy, you want to stay sane. You don't need any special hardware. This runs on your laptop, in your browser, and best of all, it's free. Not just now because of Corona. We always want to have a free version and a paid version, and right now all we have is free for you to enjoy in app.kemtai.com. You just browse to this address, log into the system, and start working out. So I hope you can all enjoy this and stay fit at home.
Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure.
Thank you from Isa. Good luck for all the team Kemtai. Ora passiamo al
And let's now move on to the
Dalla regia,
third
se mi dite che è
project.
tutto ok.
If everything's fine,
Ok,
can you
mi dicono di
confirm?
aspettare. Non è ok, non c'è nessuno. C'è qualcuno.
No one's
Abbiamo
there.
progetti
Someone's there.
da
I
tutto il
don't
mondo. Il
know. We've
prossimo
got
vi
projects
anticipo
from all over the world,
che è
and the next one
Romania.
is from Romania.
È già collegato? Ma non mi dicono che
Is there a
non
connection?
si riesce a
Yep.
capire. C'è un momento
Difficult to
della diretta
understand.
abbastanza... Vorrei fare il
That's
commentatore
the live streaming
della regia. No, dovremmo esserci, ci
typical
siamo?
setting.
Cioè, ma ok.
Okay,
Ivan, you have
it's
to,
online, but
turn
Ivan,
on
please.
your camera. Okay.
I have to turn on your camera.
Okay. Ivan.
Hello, my name is Krasimira.
From Nike. Okay. You are Christina from Sofia.
From from NICOMS. My name is Krasimira from NICOMS.
Okay. It's okay. Sorry.
Sorry, and me, it was a different account, and I expect that we have more time. Sorry.
Don't worry. You can share your presentation.
Okay, sharing now.
Ok. Ragazzi, è il bello della diretta, tra l'altro una diretta internazionale, quindi ci può anche stare, vista anche la tarda ora, dalle ore 14 che siamo qua, quindi consentitemi qualche battuta, qualche errore di nome. It's okay? Now?
Can you see it?
Yes, one moment. Okay, now it's okay. You have 3 minutes from now.
Okay. Do not lose contact with a doctor, whatever happens. An epidemic, remoteness, difficulties, problems in healthcare and in these corona situations are the doctors who are based in major city areas without medical coverage, increased number of patients with chronic disease, pandemic situation, need for new access, need for personalized healthcare. And solution is, we see it by telemedicine, which protects the health when screening for infections, disease, only possible access for remote areas, equal access to health, ongoing contact with the attending physician and avoidance of travel, new type essential health services, and with big social importance and new communication approach. Telemedicine products and services by NICOMS. Telemedicine platform named Medcare, personal health record, diagnostic, medical care case, and telemedicine station. Works on every device, need only internet. Medcare telemedicine platform. Online audio video medical consultation, payment processor, share option, schedule option, data from diagnostic devices, electronic prescriptions, and many more. Personal health record, health status and medical history, lists and alarms for medicine taken, data from diagnostic medical devices, patients provide and restrict the access, gamification, sport activities, wearable smart devices, and more. Medical diagnostic carry case, measurement of vital signs using wireless medical devices, online consultations, more than 10 integrated devices, and it's customizable. Mobile unit eliminates the problem of poor equipment or a complete lack of such, suitable for telemedicine and more, fully autonomous and ready for use in seconds. And what are telemedicine use cases? Medical practice at any time from individual physicians to hospitals, equal access to healthcare from remote areas, hospital network, and new health services. Real power of NICOMS is that there are real working solutions, gradual upgrading and innovative service, no geographical limitations and worldwide implementation, sustainable innovation based on flexible business models, whose ecosystem or whole ecosystem or single use of any product, and digital service with 360 approach to clients. The company's missions and long-term goal is to put technology at the service of the community. Because while technology is important, it's what we do with it that really matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Stina? L'altro? Ok. Allora, abbiamo visto questi progetti, scusate se comunico con la regia,
to several projects so far. Sorry for these technical communications, but the next one is from Sofia. And it's already there.
Project is Mika Innovation from Sofia. Hello, Cristina.
Hi, it's fantastic to see you. Okay, can you see the...
One moment. I think that in 10 seconds. Now it's okay. It's
okay. So good evening from Sofia. Can I start with the presentation?
Yes, you can start 3 minutes from now.
Okay, thank you. I'm Cristina Eskenazi and I'm here to represent you, the Bulgarian biotech company Mikar 21. The major focus of MICAR 21 is connected to chronic and incurable disease. The platform discovered first-in-class small molecules that cover 5 trillion euros economic healthcare costs. MICAR 21 technology is validated by worldwide scientific reports and journals with high impact that are pointing the company as structure-based in silico drug design that having 18 novel small molecules in 7 therapeutic areas. MICAR 21 is included into worldwide analytics reports as in silico drug discovery company. We are covering the process from scratch to a preclinical phase that include target validation, hit to lead, and lead optimization. We have shortened the process from usual 18 months up to 4 to 8 weeks from scratch to preclinical phase. That make us a company that is reducing the process time up to 70%, reducing the R&D cost, and improving the quality of the molecules. We have a business models that discovering and developing of a novel drug candidate from scratch to preclinical and founding a new spin-off companies. Here you can see some of our pipelines and molecules that we already have, such as for chronic pain, alcoholism, pancreatic cancer, etc. MICAR 21 is one of the founders of Health and Life Science Cluster in Bulgaria and having a huge external strategic partners. Only for 2 years, we have 7 awards from President of Bulgaria, from Ministry of Economics, etc. Here you can see some of our core team and our spin-off companies. According to COVID, we're having a project called Enzyme 2, which is a novel drug molecule for treatment of COVID-19 and coronaviruses by using the first class GLIT2 and CCR7. We are looking right now for funding, as you can see. If we have more time or there is interest, we can share more about our technology core. And this is the 3-way approaches that we are using for finding treatment for COVID. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Christina, for your project. Good luck and see you at the next WMF. Now, now the last project from Israel, Eran Ophir.
Hi everyone, my name is just a minute.
You can share your presentation?
Okay, yeah, I will share my presentation. Hi everyone, in fact I'm talking from New York City, that's where the company is based. We had until now Italy, Denmark, Israel, Bulgaria, and now, and can you see my screen?
One moment, no.
No, okay.
Now? Nothing?
No, it worked before. I'm clicking on present now.
It's okay
sharing
now?
My
Yes, now it's okay. I think in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8.
Okay, now you can see it.
You can see it. Also now we can see it's possible.
Yeah, I'm getting that it's shared.
It's okay. 3 minutes from now.
Hi.
Good luck.
Hi everyone, my name is Eran. I am the CEO and co-founder of Somatics. We are based in Israel and in New York City. Somatics is doing remote patient monitoring. We are working with 3 verticals. We work with elderly care facilities across the care continuum, independent living, assisted living, subacute short-term care, and nursing homes. We work with hospitals for the use case of remote patient monitoring of discharged patients, and we work with drug and alcohol rehab centers. Our system is based on the technology that we developed, in which we take the raw data from sensors that exist on many different types of wearables or our own smartband, and we analyze in real time the 3-dimensional vectors that represent the movement of the hand, and we can tell what is it that the person is doing. And by that, we provide a continuous monitoring, telling the caregivers what the person is doing and providing alerts, insights, reminders, and predictive analytics. The system has 4 components. We have a dashboard, a web terminal dashboard. We have a caregiver app. It's like a mobile dashboard where basically the nurses and the aides can see what's happening with the monitored patients. We have a user app in which the users can see for themselves what's happening and can call for help or do other things. And we have our own band that is being used by most of our users because it's a very lightweight band. It lasts up to 6 days in terms of charging. It's waterproof, you can shower with it, and so on. Now, as part of the COVID-19 response, we are working currently with nursing homes and with hospitals where we provide their quarantined patients and isolated, some of them are already working in a lockdown mode, and they have quarantined patients and they have isolated residents, for example, at elderly care facilities, and we provide them remote monitoring so that their teams could stay safe. And those people won't have to come into the clinic and could be remotely monitored for their health. So this is Somatics. We would love to, to be in touch with you. That's the email address where you can contact us. It could all be remotely deployed. So within 24 hours, we can remotely deploy the system for you. It's all cloud-based.
Thank you, Aaron. Good luck, and also with you. See you at the next WMF.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay well.
Ok. Allora, abbiamo visto questi progetti.
So we've seen these projects, innovative international projects from several countries. We're going to tell you more during the next few days in the different festival channels. They will also take part in the next WMF. But now we've got 2 more international projects which will be told and presented in a different way. One is from Spain and is being implemented together with the Spanish government in order to tackle the emergency of COVID, and it's a ventilator project. Let me ask if Luis Rovira is already online. Your mic is off.
If you want, I could speak in English. So,
yes. For the presentation, it's okay English. Pero, si quieres, podemos hablar un poquito en español.
Sí, tienes un buen español, ¿eh?
Más o menos. Bueno, mejor que el inglés, puede ser, no sé.
Yeah, is everything okay?
Yes, it's okay. You can start with your project.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. My name is Luis Rovira. I am CTO at Protofy.xyz, and I am going to present Oxygen, our emergency ventilator, as well as updates that have been made and where we are at now, 3 weeks later. This whole project started when we noticed how the lack of ventilators in Italy was being a huge problem on the health system. We knew straight away that this was going to be a problem, not only there, but globally speaking. So we started working. From the very beginning, we wanted to create an open hardware project, creating an easy and hands-on mechanism that was low-tech and low-cost. Accessibility has been our priority. We have always been working alongside hospitals to ensure the safety of the machine. The open hardware approach has helped us greatly, seeing as we have generated a community of over 5,000 people worldwide. As you can see here, some images of the different versions that have been made before reaching the version that we are working with presently. For now, we have obtained the authorization from the Spanish government, and SEAT, Volkswagen Group, is collaborating with us for fabricating and sending the machines to hospitals around Spain. We decided to create 2 versions of our emergency ventilator. The oxygen IP is the one that is being manufactured by SEAT. It's our industrial model. And oxygen M, this version is simplified and can be built with fewer resources. The oxygen IP is being used in 2 different hospitals in Barcelona and has been distributed to 20 hospitals around Spain. There is a video here. It's possible to play?
Yes. 1 second. Okay. Lo abbiamo perso? It's finished?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Gracias.
I didn't see the video, sorry.
Gracias, Luis.
We now consider ourselves to be in the second phase. This involves helping SEAT and hospitals with the deployment of oxygen, optimizing the device by creating alarm systems that will help detect pressure peaks, etc. Adapt the machine to other resuscitators. We want to focus on reaching other countries and support them with the process of the development of the machine. We have started contacts with African countries and want to get to United States and Ibero-American countries. Improving oxygen with the support of our community is vital to our process. Our aim is to create an open medical device that will be able to be used not only for COVID-19, but that can be adapted to other potential medical problems. Thank you for listening to us. We are currently searching for other partners to be able to continue with the project in most successful manner. You can contact us via email at oxygen@protofy.xyz or our website, oxygen.protofy.xyz. Help us, help others. This is also our crowdfunding page. Any help will be greatly appreciated. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Una pregunta. Antes.
Yeah.
Just a
¿Dónde estás?
question.
¿En Barcelona, en Madrid?
Are you in Barcelona or in Madrid?
We are visiting Barcelona.
We're in
Estamos
Barcelona.
Cerquita del mar.
¿Y qué tal ahora con el COVID? Con el coronavirus en
How
Barcelona?
does it look like with the COVID in Barcelona?
Parece que está reduciéndose ahora. Estamos consiguiendo
There's a downward trend now.
aplanar la
It's
curva.
going down. We are managing to
evitar los
plateauing.
contagios. Llevamos 3 semanas de confinamiento.
After 3
parece que
weeks
está empezando a funcionar, pero aún así
isolation, so it's
queda mucho
starting
trabajo.
to
Además, hoy
work.
es martes,
But
con lo
of
que
course,
hoy saldrán
we've got
nuevas
lots of
estadísticas
work
porque
in terms
durante
of
el fin de semana es
statistics,
más complicado recibir
especially during the weekend,
actualizaciones,
because
así que,
we can
bueno,
because we are
vamos a ver
collecting data and we
cómo
have
está todo, pero
to
bueno. Sobre todo,
analyze
I
it.
would like to send our grateful to the real heroes these days, which are the medical staff. So
Sure.
they are big heroes, and we have been in touch with them during all the development project. So we know that they are forcing and doing all the best. So it's very impressive, their work.
Sure, thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bene.
Very good.
Fatto 2 chiacchiere.
We had a small chat, also in Spanish, just to understand what the situation looks like in Spain right now. Last week, I had the opportunity to have an in-depth view of this topic with the team of Paolo Zanzatra, and he was telling me that the curve in Spain was being reduced, was plateauing, was less than the Italian one. So hopefully they will get out of this situation a little bit earlier than we will do. And so we hope for the best for them as well. This is a very interesting project, but also the other projects we've been seeing so far are very interesting. We've got another talk, another call from New York.
Yes. Do you have a presentation?
We do. Let me see if I can bring that up on screen now.
Okay. And now you speak about advertising in this period.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me bring this up so that we can all see the screen. Can you see my PowerPoint?
10 seconds. Okay. It's okay now?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see it?
Yes.
Great.
You can start.
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me. It's just a pleasure to be a part of Start the Future. There are so many amazing presentations. My name is Tony Marlowe. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for a company called Integral Ad Science. What we do is the verification game, and one big part of our business is to keep brands safe when they're advertising online. And we've done a number of pieces of research to understand what are consumers' reactions to advertisements they see that might be adjacent or might be near coronavirus content. And so that's what we've done here, and we've very recently replicated some US research, done so in the Italian market. So just to launch in for this very brief version of this, and we're about to release this study, we asked consumers in Italy a number of questions. So there was a study conducted with about 500 people, all internet users, and unsurprisingly what we're seeing is the vast majority of Italian internet users are actively seeking news about coronavirus, so 90% there, 93%. There are a few indicators that not only has this situation shifted our everyday behaviors, but also as people are going online and those impression volumes are increasing, we're seeing not only are people consuming more coronavirus content, but more news content generally as well. So you can see 9 in 10 say not only are they consuming more coronavirus news, but they're consuming more news generally. So people, as they're being quarantined, as they're staying at home, they're starting to get online more, and consuming news is a big part of that experience, not surprisingly. So what's also interesting is that we know that a lot of coronavirus news and coronavirus content is ad supported. And the consumers are telling us they've got some mixed behavior and perception around this. So firstly, 40% of Italian internet users say it is totally suitable for a brand to appear near coronavirus content. And that's good news for publishers. That's a big chunk of the population. What's also worth recognizing, though, is that a third say that whether a brand is suitable to appear adjacent to coronavirus content really depends on the brand, and it depends on the category that brand comes from. So that's 1/3 there. So the largest group saying it's totally fine, this is an unusual situation, I'm okay with brands appearing there, and then 1/3 saying it really depends. And when we looked at this a little bit more deeply, it's interesting to see that 63% report that when they do see an ad near coronavirus content, that their sentiment towards that brand is unchanged. So they're not changing the way they feel about a brand that they see in those environments. Where we do see some differences, though, it depends on the category. So the areas that consumers most want to see advertising near coronavirus content, they want to see educational ads, they want to see healthcare and pharmaceutical ads, so medicines, and they want to see government ads. They're the top 3 categories that they do want to see. And in terms of the areas in which they least want to see coronavirus news and content, travel right now is topping the list of categories they least want to see in these adjacencies, and food and beverage is close behind, and we see auto and energy not far behind that. And so there's some of the excerpt results from the Italian research. I thought it would also be interesting to share some of the findings we had from some recent US research. And what's interesting is, in addition to the adjacency to coronavirus content, the message of the ad unit itself also makes a really big difference. So we had almost half of consumers in the US tell us that if they see ads from a brand and it provides them information about how to deal with the coronavirus situation, so we're seeing ads from brands saying, here's how to wash your hands properly, here's how to maintain proper social distancing. People are reacting really positively towards that. So half are saying they would be more favorable towards brands that do that. They're also more favorable towards brands that highlight what a company is doing amid the evolving situation. And we see if it features their product or service being used in a coronavirus or quarantine situation. And we've seen a little bit of that today. So those things are perceived really positively. The US research also told us that the environment matters a lot. So when people are seeing ads adjacent to coronavirus content, but it's on a premium or recognizable news source, so for me, that might be the New York Times. people are telling us that they're much more likely to engage with that advertising if they see the same ad in a premium environment versus a non-premium environment. So the environment really matters for how people react. And this is pretty consistent with some biometric research that we conducted last year. This was conducted in New York, where I'm based, and we showed participants in a laboratory environment a number of different ad units, and we showed them ad units in premium, high-quality environments and those same ad units in lower-quality environments. And what we noticed is ad units that appeared in the premium environments were more likable by a long clip, so 74% there. They generated a higher level of engagement, and they were more memorable. So we're seeing a few things at play here. And just to wrap up the rapid-fire 5-minute presentation, the key takeaways that we learnt from this research, which we conducted to really educate marketers, educate publishers. Obviously, there are more serious things happening in the world, but helping answer some of these questions is important in maintaining normalcy for these professionals. So we saw 6 key things. So people are consuming more coronavirus news and more news generally, so they're going online more. They report that their sentiment is most likely to remain unchanged if they see ads near this content. But we do see that 1/3 are saying, look, the appropriateness of it depends on the brand. And most specifically with points 4 and 5, if you're in the travel, food or auto business, they really don't want to see those ads right now. But if you're in education, healthcare or medicine and government, they really do want to see those types of ads now. And then lastly, we just spoke on it, but the US data tells us that ad messaging really matters. So what is the message of the ad? Is it helping people right now? It also matters where the ad appears. So if it's on a premium news or content site, we're seeing greater levels of engagement there. And so they're the key takeaways. And if I could just take a moment, I heard the previous speaker do this, but on behalf of our company, we really want to give special thanks to healthcare workers globally, public safety officials, and everyone who's doing their part, including people who are just staying home to help stop the spread. Thanks to everyone for keeping our community safe amid what is a pretty unusual situation. And one thing that we're doing as a company, and we're really proud to partner with a number of parties, you can see them there, the White House, the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the Department of Health and Human Services. We're helping to deploy free advertising on behalf of these bodies, pointing to World Health Organization information and pointing to CDC information. We want to make sure that we fight misinformation in our efforts at the moment. And so us doing our small part just for the community is pushing these assets which help proliferate the correct information out there. So that's what we have to share with you. You can see my details on the screen. If you've got questions or want to reach out, my email is there. But thank you.
Thank you, Tony, for this research that we will share also after with our community. Thank you. Allora, abbiamo visto questa panoramica anche di progetti.
A general overview of international projects as well. The last one was from New York, as you've probably understood very clearly, and it was related with advertising data in Italy and abroad. And we will share this topic again in the future, of course. But before we get to the end of the event, we have a guest I would like to introduce with a video. Paolo, are you there? Can you hear me? Mike, switch on your microphone, please. Here I am. Oh, you're a pataka. You're a stupid guy. How are you? What does it look like? Can you see me? What do I look like? I can't see you because I'm using my smartphone. I've got a narrow band and not a broadband at home. I can't choose this thing, really. It's a thing that works and doesn't work at the same time, but I more or less remember how I look like. I'm not handsome, I know, but Diletta looks better than you do. Yeah, definitely. So, how is the quarantine for you? What can you tell us? Well, I do not complain about it because I'm in good health. Me and my wife are doing well. My children are also well. They're in Milan and we're in Bologna. My brother's in Riccione, so health is the primary value now. So a good health is enough. And as for the rest, well, I'm having fun because I'm shooting videos, I'm publishing videos. So yeah, I saw you launched a series of videos, online videos, the video of the videos. Can you tell us something about it? Because I'm following you. And I think it's a very good product. Can you tell us something about it? Well, my job is being a comedian in theaters. And I had a pause, of course, a downtime. So I took my time and I took a DVD from one of my shows I had in theater. I repeated it 200 times or so, and I adapted it in sort of installments for the web. So I coordinated my team, we worked together in order to adapt the video for the COVID situation, the coronavirus situation. Why don't we do the comedians via web? So we came up with this series, and we will have about a dozen of videos, and it's in my YouTube channel and my media channels, of course. So after Romagnoli Dop, which is something I did this summer and had a great success, I was very happy with it. I debuted in the social communication world, basically, with that video series. And it's fun. I'm having lots of fun, I have to tell you the truth. Yeah, it's a very interesting product, I have to say. And I have lots of fun watching you. And therefore, I wanted to share this with all of our listeners. During the quarantine, we launched the Lions Quarantine series. It's also a video series. Sort of video pills, entertainment videos for this period of time. And your videos are also entertaining, but also educational in a way. So I look forward to come and see you again in the theater because I had fun last time when I came to the theater. You have a very good educational footprint, I have to say, and this impressed me a lot when we met a few years ago for the first time when we talked to each other. It impressed me a lot. So I invite everybody to follow Paolo and his channels. What's the next video? When will it be? For Easter. And I will explain what Easter is. It's published every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. This will be the same for the next 8 weeks. This week, it's this week, and next week we'll have the video on Thursday again. So, do you want to send a message to the listeners from Italy and from all over the world? Because you are being translated into English. So, if you want to say something in the Romagnolo dialect, the interpreters will, however, translate it. Hi, guys. Take care. Watch my videos. They're fun. You can learn lots of things. And it's really, really something enjoyable. I hope you'll have fun too. Thank you very much, Paolo. Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Okay, so we had this small talk with Paolo, which relieved us a little bit, also because it's quite late. So I really invite you to watch this video series. It's very entertaining, but also educational, very strong, also for the little ones, because it tells you about the Bible in a very interesting way. Now, we should have a session dedicated to innovative projects, technological innovation to solve the coronavirus situation. We've got an Italian project, and Francesca should already be on the line.
So, hello, Francesca. We cannot hear you. You should have a button but it doesn't work. The mic doesn't work. Maybe we can talk with the next speaker, and we wait for you to fix the problem. So maybe you can disconnect and reconnect. So now I would like to talk about Hack for Italy. As we said this morning, lots of makers and innovators in Italy, but also abroad, they created the Hack for Italy to find solutions to coronavirus. Actually, we have 3 projects which won the Hack for Italy. So the names of the projects are VoiceMed, Oral Insieme, and Prometto di Tornare. I hope we have the speakers. The projects, the winning projects are 3: VoiceMed, Oral Insieme, and Prometto di Tornare. I can't see you. Right, I can see you. We can see you. You are Domenico. Where are you connected from? Milan. So you took part in the hackathon, the Hack for Italy, that was, of course, made online due to the current situation. So many of you participated, but you are one of the winning projects, and so I would like to ask you if you can very shortly talk about your solution. Prometto di Tornare.it is something we created 2 weeks ago together with a friend of mine. We both work in the digital sector, and given the emergency and the situation, and considering what is going on in terms of health, but also from an economic point of view, we started to think about how we could support people during this time. So we created a platform for small shop owners which are closed, and of course they are not getting money, getting profit. So a lot of them are facing a lot of problems. The lockdown is actually has been prolonged, so they are experiencing difficulties. So actually, the shop owners can register, and they provide discount coupons to be used once the pandemic will be over. We received media coverage, and up to today, we received more than 500 requests from shop owners, and more than 40,000 people visited the map, and a lot of shop owners communicated us that they received the first orders. It is a not-for-profit making initiative. This is our sort of digital volunteering, and so we are not asking for money from the shop owners. Thank you. It is really a great initiative. Congratulations. Thank you. We have Serena with us. Serena is connected from Florence. Can you tell us something about your project? What is your solution about? Well, our solution was presented during Hack for Italy, and we decided to focus on the elderly people. And we took into account the fact that the time is actually changing for these people, because more than 20,000 people over 75 years old, they called the Red Cross just for a chat to receive company. But on the other side, there are thousands of people who decided to carry out temporary volunteering activity. Private citizens, but also companies and businesses which would like to improve services for the elderly, but at the same time, they also would like, of course, to promote their image and reputation. And so we created Ora Insieme. It is a connection between analog and digital connection. So on one side, we have people wishing to help other people, and on the other side, we have people who need help. In particular, we want to promote the relationship between different generations. There are different tasks, such as doing some shopping or buying drugs, and also sharing some time, for example, teaching a cooking recipe, for example. It is a very hot topic, not very something important. Of course, in this time of the year, it is considered very important, but it could be useful also in the future. To make the system sustainable, companies are involved. They can sponsor packages of hours. So basically, they make available like coupons or benefits for the people who decide to dedicate and spend their time. So Ora Insieme is not aimed at fulfilling tasks, but rather sharing time altogether. Thank you. And now we move to the last winning project, Voice Mad. We have Chiara with us. Can you hear us? Yes? First of all, thank you so much for giving us such opportunity to take part in this beautiful event. I'm based in Avellino. Well, thank you to you for also participating to the Hack for Italy. Can you tell us something about your solution, your hack? Voice Mad is born from the need of getting a test. Getting a test is not easy in Italy nor in other countries. And the test is expensive, and to get the results, it takes time, and this is a huge obstacle to contain pandemic. So we thought that the best way was using the smartphone and using an app in particular. And so we came up with a new diagnostic method, which is a digital. Our team, during these 2 weeks, used machine learning to define this test, which can be applied to call centers or also to Amazon, Alexa, or PCs or tablets. So the idea is having a recording of the voice, and in particular, the user has to repeat a sentence, to cough, and to make some deep breathing. Data is asked, in particular gender, age, and the state of health. And we developed an algorithm that allows us to give either positive or negative reply. We started the Hack for Italy. We're also taking part in the Hack for Norway and Austria. And actually in Austria, we reached the podium. And today we are almost 100 people because we also participated to the hackathon in Sweden. We ranked first. And so we are a big community. We are getting ready for the Global Arc for next weekend. Of course, good luck for the next Global Hack, and congratulations. Congratulations to CURA as well. So these are the 3 winning projects of Hack for Italy that was made online to find solutions. And that was a very nice initiative, and we wanted to talk about these projects. Okay, unfortunately, we cannot connect to Francesca right now, so we can move on to the next session about data, which is a very hot topic, starting from the 23rd of March in Italy, but also before that date in China. And we have 2 made in Italy projects which are working on that. So I would like to give the floor to Francesco Paolicelli.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this time. So late. Where are you calling from? From Lecce? Good. Can you tell us, okay, if you have a presentation, if you can please share your screen with us, because we need a few seconds to be able to see it. So first of all, I started with this assumption. I've been working in this field, data field, for many years, but this doesn't mean being an expert in everything that happens in the world. So when the coronavirus started in Italy, straight afterwards, it looked to me like it was a miracle that the civil protection and the ministries provided data. But the problem is that this data, published by the Civil Protection every day in Borelli's press conference, are very important for us, but for citizens, it's almost impossible to interpret this data. Of course, it's a very big problem to understand this data. So basically, understanding hospitalizations as compared to intensive treatment cases, well, that's a different thing. And there are columns that are not just communicating enough what's going on in Italy, or what do we have to do in Italy to prevent the problem or to solve the problem. Are we getting out of the bad situation or so? However, this data is reliable data, but since they're not interpretable, not easy to understand, I decided to create a map with this data. So the map you can see now is the progressive map for the infection over time in Italy. So it tends to red because it's progressive. But if you look at the daily new cases, you can see different colors. And if you look at it in 10 days' time, you will see that the colors will be less dark, a little bit lighter, because this phenomenon is going down in several areas. So you don't just need a picture, you need pictograms, one after the other. And I had fun putting them together, the data, of course, in order to get this maps so that we can get an evolution over time of the COVID-19 evolution. This was April 7th, for instance, and you can notice there's a trend inversion, a trend change. But the main problem about the coronavirus is incoming data, so the tests basically, because they really depend on the regions. in Veneto, they are doing tests for frogs as well, for anybody really, but there are the regions where tests are not being performed. So this data is not that reliable. And on the other hand, data we can count is the number of deaths. So the death rate, for instance, is something you can also see on the map, and there's a lethality and death rate. These are two different rates. Lethality rate is the number of deaths out of the total cases, and the death case is the number of deaths out of the population. So the data is not always reliable, but what remains is the deaths compared to the population, which makes it possible for you to make a comparison with previous years, with other years. So, for instance, in Bergamo, there was a study that was carried out, and you can see that 50 people would die every day, and here we've got over 500. So this is the incidence of coronavirus in Matera, Basilicata, and the country. We've got less death cases due to coronavirus if compared to the previous year. So in the end, when we will assess the health consequences of coronavirus, we will see also the data related with intensive treatment. So, for instance, these are data for December the 31st. So in Puglia, there's about 27% of hospital beds engaged. And therefore, the situation is a little bit better than Lombardy, where 150% of the beds were already engaged at that time. This map is available on my blog and is for free. It's a non-profit initiative, and it has about 2 million visualizations and was spread throughout the world because it was also mentioned by the World Health Organization. I did it in order to devote some time to my country, to give some time to my country, and also to keep the situation under control. And I came out with infographics too, based on the epidemiologist invitation, because they asked me, please check the death number, the positive cases, the death rate per region. This is the number, for instance, the death rate. So in Lombardy, for instance, you have 9 deaths out of 10,000. In Sicily, you've got 2.5. So that's the big difference, 10 and 2. So Lombardy has 5 times more deaths than the other regions, like Sicily, for instance. You can calculate an average for Italy. You can calculate what's happening averagely in Italy in the different regions. Regions are doing better and regions are doing worse. But these numbers make it possible for us to understand whether the big sacrifice we're doing is worthwhile or not. You can do it per region, you can do it per tests, you can do it per R0, for instance. This is a number that was renowned a few days ago. It's the infection rate. One person can infect 2 people averagely, but it's less than 1. It's 0.58, which means we are getting out of the pandemic phase and we will enter the endemic phase. When will this happen? This is already happening because we've got a downward trend, but the COVID intensive treatment number will decrease. So basically people getting into the hospital with complications will be less serious in terms of cases. But this is something we will see in 15 days' time. Now we're seeing a downturn, and this gives us hope because by the end of April we will get out of the critical stage, which means the problem is not solved, but we can be a bit more relaxed, because if we do get together again, we can go for a second peak. So once again, this map is visited lots of times, and times I can't open my server because half Italy is been watching my map. But from time to time I can improve it, and it's a service I'm offering to my country. The Civil Protection called me a few days ago to thank me, and I'm proud of it. So it would be vital to develop critical thinking, because in Italy we do believe any number we're told, anything we're told. No, we need to think critically. We need to look for the sources. newspapers, and if we're not able to, we can get help from the ones who can do it. It's like reading classic texts or Latin texts. Because 47% of the Italians are just reading the headlines of newspapers. They stop there. They don't read any further. This is something we can change. Thank you very much. Your presentation was very interesting because we, of course, need some more education. We don't need to stop to limit ourselves to appearance or to the easy things. We need to work. And when we will resume working normally, we need a new model, economic and social model, possibly also an education model. Thank you very much for your work. Thank you very much, and see you soon. We should have Francesca for Open Breath now. Yes, I'm there. Hi. It's a bit complicated because I have established a connection with my smartphone for the audio and the computer for the video connection. That's a bit complicated, but the most important thing is that you share your screen with us so that we can see the presentation. Otherwise, we're running too late. Do you also have some videos? Yes, there are some embedded videos in the slides, but they're very short. Open Breath is an open source project that was launched a few weeks ago exactly to help during this emergency situation. This project was launched with the aim of producing a lung ventilator that can work as well as the other ventilators on the market today. So the aim is creating a product with the same content and same reliability of the product you can find in the market today in order to democratize healthcare access and to tackle emergencies. So in terms of intensive care units, we have more and more assistance for infections, coronavirus infections, also in developing countries, where of course these structures are lacking, even worse than us in terms of ventilators for assisted breathing and sanitary supports in general. But let me talk about the product, which is the beating heart of our project. The target we want to reach is to ensure full operativity. This is why we're developing functions that are available in the normal commercial ventilators. Our ventilator is designed in order to be controlled under pressure, in terms of pressure control, but also in terms of volume, offering mechanical unassisted ventilation. We're also studying hybrid solutions in order to help healthcare professionals supporting the patients during the acute phase of the illness, but also afterwards when the illness is almost being solved. Then we focused on safety of the device, of course. So since the very beginning of planning and designing, we focused on fail-safe design in order to make crucial elements redundant in the machine in order to ensure more safety, so the machine is safe. And then, of course, the prototype will be tested from different points of view in order to guarantee safety performance. Another interesting feature is the remote dashboard. We're implementing a dashboard right now that is capable of collecting data from several machines on the same tablet, for instance, in order for the healthcare professional to check several patients at the same time, but also to do it from a distance, which is very important right now, of course. The whole product was developed based on some main guidelines, let's say safety, functionality, low cost, and scalability. Here you can briefly see the status of the project. I don't want to bore you with percentages, but the main information here is that the first prototype was assembled, and exactly with relation to this, I'd like to show you the first video. It's coming. Yes, that's good. There's a very short time lapse. by Gabri, who put it together and did it while assembling the prototype. We can launch the second video. This video, this device, is a pressure control test. In this video you can see how the device is very safe, because just one arm is working, is pushing, and this is a test exactly to show that in case of failure just one arm can nonetheless keep the set parameters. And in the graph, in the diagram on the left, you can see the curves, the lines for the preset parameters. In this case, the positive pressure is stable for every breath. In the following video, can you please start the video? We've got a volume control function. So for each volume increase, you've got a constant pressure increase in the ventilator. Now you can't probably see it good well in the diagram, but we are developing it further. And there are other controls as well, such as for instance the triggering for breaths, which will be used for assisted ventilation. But let me go back to my presentation. Where are you at now? I mean, how long will it take for you to finish the project? Well, the prototype is working pretty good. We are implementing all of the necessary tests, for instance, electromagnetic interference problems for the devices and components, because these tests are required by the law, by the regulation. And this is a question I would have answered later on, because this is one of the greatest challenges we have to tackle right now. That's to say certification, because certification needs several tests, it requires several tests. But the timing is not that suitable for the emergency situation we're experiencing right now. Of course, we need a short time so we need to cut on red tape, of course, to accelerate some processes to get the certification. Yes, in the UK it happened, for instance, that the red tape was accelerated, but this is not the case for Italy right now. No acceleration, no speeding up of times is planned for now. That's the situation. Hopefully something will change. Thank you very much, Francesca, for your project, and congratulations. Good luck. Yes, I'm going to give you all my details in case someone would like to contribute or would like to get more information. These are our contact details. Thank you very much. Yes, we're going to disseminate and share your information with everybody. So we're close to the end. We've got a speech before closing, and it's all about data, which are very important in this phase. So we've got Riccardo Gallotti. Can you hear us?
Good evening. Hello to everybody. So I'm first of all sharing my screen so you can see my presentation. Can you see a map? Yes, here we are. So, first of all, thank you for inviting me. And this is the right time, because we have already said that it is important to have true information and to rely on evidence and true information. So the topic of the session is technologies and the importance of digital technologies. And we believe that there are lots of opportunities, but also lots of challenges, because there is a huge amount of information all over the world, but we run the risk of an info pandemic, which means that we cannot find reliable information. We can't hear you properly, so if you can make sure the mic doesn't move. Okay. So infodemic. Infodemic is associated with a COVID epidemic because there has been a huge amount of information, and we measured the amount of information on Twitter starting from January. We are a team based in Trento, the Kessler Foundation, and we decided to gather to collect data associated with COVID, coronavirus, and at first there was really a spike in the attention, but then this declined until we got the first data about Italy. The first cases in Italy, and the epidemic started in Italy, and on Twitter there has been an increasing attention about this. Actually, on Twitter we cannot get all data available, but we see that most of data are coronavirus related, and we could look at data, but we could also see if data is reliable or not, because infodemic means that a big part of data is not reliable. So this map, which can be found online, you can actually see the percentage of information which is not reliable. And we can do that through geolocalized tweets. And we can see that Italy, the situation is not that bad if you compare it to Peru or Venezuela, for example. But you can also dig deeper. And if you click Italy, for example, on the map, you can see the amount of information for which it was possible to check whether it was real or true or not, if compared to the unreliable information. We basically divided information into groups, reliable or unreliable. So the one which is defined unreliable is the ones you have to pay attention to. And you have to pay attention because the source might be interested in deviating the attention towards a political topic, or the source of the information is using marketing strategies in order to encourage a retweet or instinct response. The percentage of fake news is quite high in Italy, but we are quite lucky because people having a lot of followers do not share fake news. So the exposure or the frequency with which fake links are offered to the public is quite limited than we would expect, because the people with a lot of followers share reliable information. This is not true all over the world, because if you look at other countries, for example, Russia or South America, well, in this case, there is a high percentage of people that were influenced and who receive unreliable information on a daily basis. And thanks to this platform, you can also look at the sentiment and psychological situation, and this is extracted from the tweets thanks to algorithms. Well, Riccardo, this is a beautiful work about information, quality of information, and over the last weeks, of course, we know that we are reading plenty of information, any type of information, and even unimportant newspapers. And we try to say this all the time to focus and to draw attention to this. So I think the work you have done is really a great job. Thank you, and thank you to all the partners who have been working with me. We try and promote your work. Thank you, Riccardo. Thank you so much. Right, that was really the last speech. We are about to close our long day, our event, and we wanted to find guidelines to face the emergency, but at the same time to deal with the future, to consider the future and a new model for the future. Talking about coronavirus, of course, but also about other big challenges we have been considering since many years, and in particular over the last 10 years, we have been discussing about this. We mostly focused on projects about digital health and coronavirus, but at the same time, we anticipated some topics that will be dealt in the future events. Let me thank all the people who made this possible and all the people who sent projects from all over the world. That was really satisfactory for Italy, for our country, for all of us, because this is really a bottom-up approach, and it is project sharing, which is really unique, and every single day more and more solutions are shared. Let me thank first of all Stravidio and Civetta staff, and also our own company, which was able to organize this event despite all the difficulties. And also I would like to thank all the companies supporting us, because many sponsors decided to participate, and we will donate all the money we received to charities. Let me conclude with the question I asked right when we started this event. My question was, are we going to the right direction? Today it is the World Health Day, and we celebrate the 70th anniversary of this World Health Day, and I think that the last 2 months have been teaching a lot, even much more that we could have learned in many years. Situation we are facing all over the world. But I think that it is time for cooperation, for working together, and to make sure that digital innovation and technologies help us and support us. We started in 2004 with a very small forum to share ideas and knowledge. And over time, we have been doing that, and we are happy that we can do that with many more people, both in Italy and abroad. And I do hope that we will continue and work together, sharing information and solution with a bottom-up approach. Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Time for us to use technology for the good of humanity.